we need to go above and beyond for our guests. People are coming for an experience. They're not coming just for the property. It's really encompassing everything that includes, as in your property, having it spotless, great guest communication, setting up the expectations before they come, executing it while they're there, following it up when they leave. The guest experience doesn't end when they walk out the door.
Our duty is to our guests. And by keeping our guests in mind, our duty as hosts is always to push the limit on what hospitality means to us. I am super excited to welcome back on the show Miss Jodie Odlin. For me, the mother and the founder of the Hospitable Host movement. Jodie, welcome back on the show.
Thank you very much for having me. It's nice to be back.
Pleasure. So for those of you that somehow don't know what Hospitable Host is, which I don't know how, right? Because if you've been in the space, you've seen one of us, both me and Mike Sjogren were part of one of the books. Tell us what you've been up to, because I know you've been up to a lot of things, but kind of walk us through what the last little bit has been like.
Yeah, sure. So yes, as we started off, Hospitable Host started off as a book project, a multi-author book project, where you and Mike were a part of that. So you became published authors because you shared your story of how you got to be in the industry, along with 38 other people from around the world. We started off with one book, and now we have 3 books published, which all became #1 bestsellers. And all the hosts have come together to create an amazing community, which, I still have to pinch myself every day that I do this and I get to talk to people like you guys, because never in my wildest dreams did I think it would go this far. But yes, we're now considered as a movement. So we come together as hosts, as a community. Many of the community members are leaders in the industry, and everybody shares and collaborates, and the projects just keep going and going. So we have our own charity that's been formed this year. We have a hospitality summit coming up at the end of April, and which is going to be a whole piece of education all about hospitality, which when we go to some of these conferences out there, nobody's talking about hospitality, which to me is, crucial in our industry. I have a hospitality training background. Just so many moving parts to it, the movement.
Amazing. So I love talking to you because, again, I know that this vision has become a lot bigger than probably what you had in mind.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Oh, yes, absolutely. Yeah. I just enjoyed listening to people's stories of how they got into the industry, and people came from all different walks of life, right? And they came in it through the property business. They came through it because they just had a spare room in their house or a garage that they wanted to rent out. Yet I have a trained hospitality background, and I was so amazed that everybody was doing this Airbnb thing and being very successful at it. And that's what kind of led me to the idea of the book and sharing those stories to inspire other people. Never, as I said, I pinch myself every day. Never in my wildest dreams did I think it would go this far.
Yeah. So if there is somebody listening right now that is feeling an idea or calling to do something that could potentially be huge, what are some of the lessons that you would share in terms of how you were able to let it happen, right? Because I know that there's so many people involved, and I know that you are always there and always involved, and at the same time, by the sheer nature of there's only 24 hours. Even if she lives in the UK, or it still runs on 24-hour loops, right? Like there's not a difference in time.
Yeah, sure.
So how did you do it? And like, what are some things that you would tell yourself maybe 3-4 years ago at the beginning of this idea that would better help you create what you created now?
First off, I would say don't listen to others. If you have an idea that you want to go forward with, just take the risk and go forward. I say it's a bit like raising a child. Once you have a baby, everyone gives you so many ideas of how they did it. But just be focused and do what you want to do. And there'll be mistakes that happen. Nobody's perfect, but just be your true, authentic self. And I think people are more are accepting. And if you don't proclaim to know everything. When I gathered people to be in the book. I had no idea how that was going to work out, but I hired a publisher to help me do that. And yeah, just if you have an idea, execute it. Like whatever it takes, just execute it. And because otherwise you're just going to sit back and have all those ideas when you're 60 years old and think, oh, I should have done something. I should have done that idea. That person's now doing it. Or, you live with no regrets. Yeah.
Jodie, you and I haven't had the chance to meet other than just a couple of minutes before this.
Sure.
What would you define as a hospitable host, or maybe some of the keys to hospitality? Yeah,
sure. So I believe that, we need to go above and beyond for our guests. They're all coming now. We know, we've seen the data. We've heard all the gurus talk about it. People are coming for an experience. They're not coming just for the property. So it's really encompassing everything that that includes, as in, your property, having it spotless, great guest communication, setting up the expectations before they come, executing it while they're there, following it up when they leave. Like the guest experience doesn't leave. It doesn't end when they walk out the door. If you want to retain them and bring them back in, you have to keep following it up, whatever that means that is. And there's not one way. I need to say that. There's not one way to do this. It's everybody has their own unique way. And I think that's what makes the short-term rental industry, really unique. People aren't staying at hotels where everything's the same. Yes, as hosts, we need to have professional standards, and that's what we're doing at Hospitable Host Next. However, I think being true to yourself and what you can bring to your guest and using the local community as well is really important for people to understand. So they may listen to what E does, or they may listen to what you do, this is your listeners, or what I do, but some things aren't going to work for that person who's listening in. So you've got to find what works for you and your guest, like know your guest who's coming in and work around that.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned as well, you live in Australia, but your business is in the UK, right?
It is, yes.
So how do you did you live in the UK and was able to like get involved in the community there, or is that how So how it started is my family and I have done extensive travel through Europe and the UK, and I've got 3 children. We needed to settle somewhere for them to finish their final years of their education. So we went to the UK and we rented a property which had a separate little cottage next to it. We're talking English countryside, those little stone cottages that you see on the TV in the movies. And I just said, let's try this Airbnb thing. We put it up on Airbnb and it just worked. And then I was poking around on the internet. I didn't even know this world existed. And I came across Sean Rakovich on YouTube, and I, listened and learned how to get into rental arbitrage, and I involved my local community by going out and speaking to the butcher and the shopkeepers and the pet stores, and we created a little community of hosts and also networks that our guests could then go off and use the services of others. So I created this whole little network in a little country town. So yeah, it's been pretty good. And then
I moved I moved back to Australia. I'm originally from Australia, so I moved back there, but I didn't want to give up my business. I really enjoy my business. I've got great people on the ground to help me, and then I implemented some AI tools, which has changed everything for me.
Yeah, tell us how you can manage that that business from Australia remotely. I'm super interested in that.
Yeah, so at first it was really difficult. I had my phone on, and check-in time in the UK is 3 a.m. in Australia. So I was getting calls because, we all have everything set up, our automated messaging to welcome our guests with all the information. But as we know, not all guests read, or they might get stuck and need some extra help. So my phone was just going, from 3 a.m. into the early hours of the morning. And I thought there has to be a better way. And then Host Buddy just came my way, which is a company who is an AI software that helps with guest communications. And I was a little bit hesitant at first. And I said, let's just link up one property and see how we go. And by the end of the onboarding, which takes simply minutes to do, I was like, let's just go the full hog, like put them all on. And it changed everything. It's just, I can go to sleep. I'm like a walking advertisement, actually. I walk along the beach and my phone doesn't go, and I'm like, thanks, Host Buddy. I can walk along the beach, or I can have a good night's sleep. Thanks, Host Buddy. It really is a great tool. So if anyone is listening and they want to up their guest communications, all those little finicky questions that they ask, where's the lockbox? How do I get in? Where do I park? Where's the tea towels? Where can I find this? Host Buddy, you give it access to your years of guest communications. And so I've been hosting for 8 years. So it just goes back and reads everything that I have given it access to, and it can troubleshoot ideas to guests if they can't get in, or if the boiler's broken. That's a hot water system that we have in the UK. It can really, really do a lot without getting you involved.
Yeah. I love that. So for those of you listening, if you missed it, we had the guys from Host AI on, it's episode 224. So you can go back and see it. And they came and talked and shared like kind of their story, because they came as property managers and created this for themselves. And so that's been lovely. So Jodie, you're doing this. You now have gotten some time freedom back. It sounds like you get to sleep and walk on the beach whenever you want, which is lovely, right?
I may have said that too easily. No, yeah.
Where does Jodie spend most of her time? So what are you working on now? Are you still growing the property management company? Like, what does that look like?
No, I'm not growing my property management company at all. I have 15 properties, and that's enough for me. Given my situation that I am on the other side of the world, I may start something over in Sydney where I'm now based. I'm not sure. But I do have a lot of things going on with Hospitable Hosts. We have more books coming out. We have an education platform that we're launching. We have a summit, as I said, at the end of April. So that has kept me busy. So where I am most of the times is right here. I'm, talking to speakers, ensuring that we have a really great lineup of people coming in. I'm talking to vendors who are coming in and sponsoring, just trying to get some unique hosts and attendees that are going to come in, and, everyone's going to network as well. So that's where I spend most of my time at the minute.
Okay. So if somebody is coming to the summit, what can they expect, and how would you say, because you've been to a lot of conferences now, right? Of all kinds.
Yes.
What are Jodie's 3 secrets to make the most out of any conference or summit?
Yeah, just book a ticket and go. Make sure it's right for you, right? Book a ticket and go. Be brave. I don't like walking into big rooms and, going forward and, just saying, hi, I'm Jodie, but just be brave, because you don't know who you're going to meet when you get there. And then network and take in some of the information, and really, once you pay for your ticket, you're investing in yourself and your business. Don't just go and listen to the speakers and then go home and forget about it. You really need to take some action steps to be able to implement what you've learned. Now, with our summit, we've called it a summit because a summit is a gathering of people rather than a conference. So if you're going to come along to our summit, don't expect just to sit there and listen to speakers. We have trainers who are going to be up there on the stage, and every session is going to be very interactive. We have workbooks for people to work on their business, why they're listening and why they're learning. So it's almost like coming to an open day at a university speaking about hospitality. And you're not going to come and learn about property investing, how to get finance. We're going to be talking about scaling your business through hospitality.
I love it. I'm looking forward to it. So I'll be there to speak on one of the panels that Jodie's putting together with some other good friends and great people. So I'm really excited.
Yes, you are.
Jodie, who are you excited for? Who are you excited? What are some speakers that you're excited for, and why are you excited for them?
Yeah, well, we've chosen to have the summit in Denver, in Colorado, which is beautiful in itself. So I'm really excited. I've only been to Colorado once. And we've got some really great local people coming in. So we've got Eric Mason. I don't know if you know Eric. He's a great guy, been in the industry for a long time. He's my age. So you have to learn from the wise old people. But we've got speakers coming in from all over the world. We've got people coming in from the UK, from Australia. So it's going to be a melting pot of nationalities, as well as all the different topics that we're covering. We also even have a lady coming over from Japan, Tracy Northcott, who's an incredible host.
Tracy, yeah.
Yeah, so Tracy's coming. She doesn't normally come to any of the conferences in the US, so I'm very fortunate that she's chosen to come to the summit to represent Hospitable Hosts, because she did share her story in Volume 1. She was one of the original authors.
I remember. So we had Tracy on the show as well, and it's funny because I have this obsession. I've been obsessed with Japan for a long time. Yes. But now a lot of my friends in Europe, since the yen has been so cheap, so many people are going there. And it's funny that this is the one time that she decides to come across.
Yes, I know.
Yeah. It's the cheapest to be there.
She's got an amazing business though. She's an incredible businesswoman, very successful. We've got Stacey St. John, who's from the US. She's going to be there as well. She has, I believe the world's largest short-term rental women's group, a group especially for women. We've got Julie George coming over, who most people know who she is. We have Fawad Bazzi, who's also another great person who has a business in Chicago, very successful. Amanda, the traveling realtor, if you don't know who she is, you need to look her up. I think people who are listening could, download the book on Amazon or listen to it through Audible, and they'll get to understand who some of these people are. But there's some of the biggest players in the industry, and we all are very passionate about hospitality being a key part of our businesses.
Yeah, I love it. So for people that want to get a ticket, where can they find it? Where are the dates?
Sure. So we have a website called strhospitalitysummit.com, or if you want to give us a follow on Instagram, it's just Hospitable Hosts. We share everything that we're doing within the community on that Instagram page. So it's a really great way to be able to see what we're all doing.
Awesome. So after all these years of the Hospitable Host, I am curious to know, and the last question because you've been asked it before, right? Which is, what's your number one secret to success with short-term rentals? I'm curious to know, based on all the people that you've seen, and you've got to talk to a lot of hosts, what would you say, if you're talking now as the mother of the Hospitable Host movement, as Jodie, right? What would you say is the Hospitable Host secret to success with short-term rental?
I think it's collaboration. And I know that word gets, it's become a bit of a buzzword. It gets spoken about a lot in our industry, but I truly do believe that this group, this community, this movement wouldn't have got to be where it is today. And I certainly wouldn't have got to be where I am today in the industry without the collaboration of others who are in our community. So next week I'm in London, and I've actually been shortlisted for 4 awards by the Shorties, which is a pretty big deal over in this side of the world. And I would never have ever been able to get that unless I surrounded myself with really good people, inspiring people. You know, when I talk to people like you both of you, and I kind of sit back and I think, wow, these people are so fantastic. And I believe that's what you need to do. Surround yourself with great people and great things will happen to you. You're a Joe Dispenza fan, E, you know what it's about. Like, see yourself in your future. Don't look back. You know, things happen. Don't focus on those things. Just focus on where you want to be and what that goal is when you achieve it. Feel it. Do all of that.
That's
I love that.
That's a great topic to continue on too, because he and I do a lot of reading together and just personal development stuff together. What do you like to do for your personal development? You mentioned Joe, but what do you do?
Yeah, so I'm a big believer in Joe Dispenza. I'm a kinesiologist as well as a host and author and stuff. So I'm very much
had a couple lives, Mike. You used to actually work at high-end hotels, right, Jodie? That's how you got your start.
Yeah, I
You used
did.
to do
Yeah, I
front
did.
desk at very, very high-end hotels. That's one of the things that I remember about your story.
Yeah, that was my first job. I was a receptionist on a hotel while I was going to hospitality management school. So, and then ended up, you know, going around and opening new hotels and training staff. So, yeah, I've been in hospitality for a long time. But I meditate a lot, Mike. I start my day off with meditation. I end my day listening and, you know, showing gratitude and, you know, thinking about what I'm grateful for every single day. But I've started doing something which is really cool now that I'm in Australia. I actually meditate while I'm floating in the pool, and it's awesome. You can buy headphones that professional swimmers use when they're doing their laps, and you download it in the little MP3 player, I think it is. And I just float there at night, looking at the stars, listening to Joe, and it's awesome. It's that brain heart coherence that he talks about. I have experienced that, and that I probably experienced that 2 years ago, and it honestly changed my life. That and Host Buddy. I can put Host Buddy, Joe Dispenza, and meditation in the same.
AI and meditation is the way to enlightenment for Jodie.
Yeah, no. So that's really what I do. I'm, you know, as I said, I have three children. They're all young adults now, but I love to hang out with them as much as I can. I have a dog. Love going walking with my dog. So that's pretty much me. I'm simple. But this all does keep me very busy. And for some reason, I don't know if it's Joe or the universe just keeps saying, hang in there till June 2025 and life is going to calm down a little and some new things will open up. So I'm looking forward to June 2025. I'll keep you posted.
That's great. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I was talking about this with Jeremy Worden. Is Jeremy Worden on the book?
No.
One of the books?
No.
He was on the podcast last week. He's another North Carolina guy, but we were just talking about how he's got a lot of different businesses. So do I. So does E. So does Mike. Sounds like so do you. Yeah. And there's a lot of different times where, you know, things are really busy, but there's times where things aren't so busy, and that's when we get time and space to create.
Yes.
And I feel like having that time and space to create is something that a lot of people think that they don't have currently, because there's so many different things that we could be doing, right? Especially with all the different businesses, kids, you know, work, and, you know, the news, and just there's so many things that can fill our time. Mm-hmm. And having that time and space to just sit down and think about what our goals are and how we want to create our future, just like what you mentioned, I think is so important for all of us to do, no matter where we are. Like if we're starting to buy our first short-term rental or co-host our first property, or, you know, on our fourth book, putting a massive event together and launching a certification and just having a lot of different things going on, that space to create, I think is just so important for all of us.
Yeah. I totally agree. I think that's what that's the essence of being a human, right? That's what we're here. That's what we're here for. We're all here to connect, to, you know, to do something good in the world. And whatever that is for you, it's different for everybody else. But to sit and acknowledge that, I think it's really important. I wouldn't say that I did that at your age. I'm a lot older than you guys. But now that I'm here, I wish I did. I'm like, damn, I wish I knew this stuff before, but I do now, and that's fine too. And if I can, if anyone's listening and they think this is all a bit of weird stuff of what we're talking about, I think it is becoming more mainstream with people like Joe Dispenza, who's, bringing the science into meditation and showing people what they can do. But I do think it's important, just go off and explore, allow yourself to go off and explore once in a while. I think it's really important, and you'll find out who you are.
Yeah, 100%. Changing gears just a little bit, just based on your experience in hospitality. But what do you see is the future of short-term rentals? Like, what's that? Host Buddy was great when it came out a year ago, and AI's done a lot. Is there anything that you're seeing in the future with short-term rentals or Airbnb that you're kind of thinking, oh, I think this is going to happen?
Yeah, sure. I think, I know, because another project that we're doing, as you mentioned it briefly there, is the hospitable host movement has created a standard for hospitality in the industry. So we've set up an accreditation course for those who think that they are a professional host already. They can come through and apply. For those who think they need some more training, they go off and do a training course. So I believe to be a successful host in the next few years to come, you're going to have to raise your standards. There's a lot of yahoos out there, and we do want them to drop away. So we want some standardization coming in, some best practices being formed, and that's what we're as a community really focusing on. And so hopefully through the ripple effect, it will go out to the rest of the world. But I do believe that we need to raise the standards across the whole industry, because I know, like, I've stayed at short-term rentals when I've been at conferences, and I've stayed at some terrible places. And when you speak to professionals
some
like
big
us,
casa properties.
Well, I'm not saying anything, but
Mike
I said it.
Mike loves to trash Vacasa and Evolve. It's one of his favorite things. So just let him.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. But even we were at a conference in Australia. We have a really great conference there, which is run by Astra. And we had all these people from international people coming in, and they all had terrible experiences. And for me, as an Australian, I'm proud of my country, and then for people to come in and have really bad experiences, I can see why most people, professional hosts, they do stay in hotels. Why do we stay in hotels? Is because, you do. What about you, E?
Absolutely.
Do you stay?
I do the same thing. And I love hotels. I think our biggest thing is not to fight against them, is to learn from them. So I know Mike Sjogren just went on a cruise on a Royal Caribbean boat. I went to Sandals at their hotel. And I love good hospitality. I am forever a fan of Unreasonable Hospitality, which I know, Jodie, you and I love as a book. But I am always a fan of that level of hospitality. And so I am always humbled to the understanding that, hey, these hotels are who they are for a reason. The Four Seasons, Aman, those people are who they are for a reason. And so for me, I look at them not as competition, but as inspiration. Similar to how BMW and Mercedes look at each other. Mm-hmm. I want them to continue to push so we can continue to push as hosts. And we teach a lot about doing boutique hotels, because again, our entire thing is not to fight against it, is to offer a different option for people. And I do agree with you, though. We have to elevate standards all around. Because again, our duty is to our guests. And by keeping our guests in mind, our duty as hosts is always to push the limit on what hospitality means to us.
Exactly. But the three of us stay at hotels. Well, why is that? Because we're getting the standard. We know when we arrive, it's going to be cleaned, it's going to be fresh, there's going to be no problems. We can check in maybe a bit earlier if we want to. And you're right, we need to learn from these hotels. Like, I've worked in the training section of a hotel before. I know the budgets. I understand what goes into training the staff in some of these, like the Four Seasons, for instance. And they are the best of the best. But if we can take just some little things from them, and that's what I believe that we've done in the course and the accreditation standard that we've set up, and implement those into our businesses in our own unique way. We don't want to become the cookie cutter. We don't want to become a Ramada like all the professional hosts. We don't want to become under one banner. You've got your brand, Mike's got his brand, I've got my brand. But if we can all come together as a collective, this collaboration again, and learn from each other. I've been at conferences and stayed in properties where there may be like 10 of us, and the best things or the best learning comes out of just hanging around those people. It's like, oh, what do you do? And what do you do for this? And what do you do for that? And it's just those little things that we need to all bring together and share, so we can create something that's really, truly unique and professional for our guests. And that's going to help with the industry. All the regulations, like you see it, like all the regulations, people are trying to say that us as hosts don't do X, Y, Z. We're not conscious of safety. We're not professional. We don't treat our guests the right way. But if we can say, actually, yes, we're a part of an association. I've done my accreditation, and now I'm a part of this collective group. I am doing those things. So I think even with regulations, this is going to help.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, he has heard me talk about it nonstop for the last year. I think the big property managers are the ones that, in my view, are hurting the HOAs, the cities, the states, the regulations that are coming out. There's a lot has to do with them not having a standard that they're following, or at least having quality control over. So I think, and I've seen it in my HOA. There's 2 problem houses out of 70 short-term rentals, and the HOA decided to ban all short-term rentals because of those 2 problem houses that were managed by the 2 that he mentioned earlier. So it's very unfortunate, but it's, like you said, raising the standards for everybody. And I think property managers and co-hosts that are boutique and have a focus on hospitality first, like our company, like E's company, like your company, are the ones that are going to continue to grow and raise the standard across the board. And I think the bigger players are going to continue to get smaller and smaller.
Yeah. Well, they'll have their own, they'll have their followers, their loyal guests, because, there's something for everybody, right? But I just think this whole regulations thing, I'm very fortunate. I don't have an issue with regulations in a small country town in the UK. But if I was to set it up in Sydney, I definitely do. I have minimum number of nights and everything that's going on there. But well, this is why I've set it up. I really believe it's going to help the industry, and people can jump into it if they like. They don't have to jump into it, but I think what it's going to form is this, new way of being a short-term rental host / boutique hotel mid-term rental host. Do you do X, Y, Z? Yes. Do you do this for those guests? Yes. No, okay, come across here and we'll teach you how to do it. But then implement it your own style. And I know I've said that a couple of times, but I do think that's important for the listeners to understand. The way that you do it, E, the way that you do it, Mike, is not necessarily going to work for your listeners. But if we kind of all come together and listen to other people's situations and experience, then hopefully the listeners can then put together something unique for their own guests.
Yeah, we hold the standard, and then you are free to just do how you please, but we have to have and create a standard as an industry.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Lovely.
So a part of the standard that we've created isn't just the hospitality course. The host has to be a member of their local association. So we've collaborated with Rent Responsibly and associations all around the world. They have to do some fire and safety training through Justin Ford is Breezeway has come on there. So this is what I mean, like with collaboration, just bringing all the pieces together to create this golden professional hospitable host.
A golden standard.
A golden standard. Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, Jodie, as always, it's such a pleasure to have you on. I do deeply appreciate everything that you do for our industry and that you continue to do for our industry and for the hospitality sector. And I feel very fortunate that we have somebody like you that is here on our corner, like helping us do this. So
thank you.
If anybody needs you, Jodie, one last time, where can they find you? Where can they learn more about Hospitable Host?
Our Instagram page is the best way. And I have an amazing social media lady, Rose Tipka. I'm going to give a shout out for Rose.
Oh, we love Rose. Yeah.
Yeah. So Rose organizes the social media, and we're right on point with everything there. So if you want to know anything about what Hospitable Hosts is doing, just head to our Instagram page at Hospitable Hosts. That would be great.
Amazing. Riley, any last thoughts or questions for?
No, Jodie, it's great to meet you. I think we definitely see eye to eye on a lot of things, and then also just being able to have like you said, the standard, but then the flexibility to niche down on the type of people you serve too. Like you mentioned at the beginning, it's all about knowing who you're serving and then just giving them that 6-star experience in hospitality. So thanks for coming on.
Oh, thanks for having me, guys. And just one last shout out for the summit. If anyone wants to come and meet some really great people and network, and just really learn, like nail down and learn what this is all about, just come along to Colorado. We'd love to have you there.
Awesome. Thank you, Jodie. Guys,
you're welcome.
There was a lot of value in this episode, mostly around like really elevating your standards and really understanding that we are all partners. And so when you choose to not elevate your standards or you choose to tolerate lower standards, you are hurting us as an industry altogether, right? So we are all in this together. And so hopefully this helps you choose to elevate your standards in whatever way you feel called to do. And then you come to hang out with me and Jodie in Denver in a couple of weeks.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Perfect. Ciao, guys.